viewers and subscribers. Welcome to another episode. In today's episode, we want to discuss whether, well, I seen a video on TikTok, and this man was talking about white people would rather watch black and brown people starve to death than feed them. And he says white people would rather look after animals, care for animals, or care more for animals than they care more for other humans who are not white. Is this true? Let's investigate. Next, coming up. Holla. People, for years, this has always been a raging debate, a raging topic that white people love animals more than they love black people or people of color. And I have, for the longest of times, I have refused to accept that. I have totally seen white people being the most generous, the most loving, the most giving. I have seen white people being the most transparent. I have seen white people being the most pragmatic problem solvers, not solving their own problems, but solving problems of African people, black people, colored people, Indian people, I think. Don't talk much about Indians because I'm not really well versed in Indian culture. So I refrain from talking about Indians because I'm not. So I wholeheartedly disagree that white people prefer or white people love animals more than they love black people. Um, and just a disclaimer, when I say black people in this case, I'm also referring to colored people. So I just want to be saying black and colored the whole time. Black and colored, just black people all in one, right? For the context of this video. I know a lot of coloreds are going to come at me saying that we're not black, and I know, geez, each to his own, right? But I'm just saying for the context of this video, I'm just going to just for ease, just black and white, because everybody just talks about black versus white. So yeah, colors are hardly even in the conversation, anyways. You know what I mean? So I disagree on that. To this day, I still disagree because I am not saying that every white person is generous or like every. It's like there's no race group in this world that is unique in any way that everyone in a race does everything similar. It's no such thing. You know what I mean? So yeah. So so we take the average, right? Let's take the average. The average black person would rather work for a white person because the pay is better, the treatment is better. I think that's the average. That's not to say there are no cruel white people or there's no. I'm just saying the average black, if you had to ask him, would you rather work for a white person or for a black person? The average black person will tell you he'd rather work for a white person because pays are better and the conditions of employment are normally better. So if we go with that narrative, would it now be fair to say that white people don't like black people and don't care for black people? No. Okay. Let's take another example. If we look at most charities that provide food and shelter and all that, who owns or runs those charities? It's white people. I'm not saying there's no other race groups that have that. I'm just saying that, but the majority, the big, well-known ones, and white people. Who, even if you look at the current conflict that's going on in Gaza right now, who are the majority that are driving the West, pushing the West governments to do something in the West, to do something in Gaza. Again, it's white people. I'm not saying other race groups are not involved. I'm saying that the biggest and loudest noise is coming from the white people. So, is it now fair to keep saying that white people prefer animals over blacks, given all these examples that we are giving right now? You know, yes, I do understand that there are racist white people. Yes, I do understand that there are white people who just totally just don't want to assimilate to any other culture other than their own. I totally get it. But can we say that's the average white person's mentality? My answer is no. I can't, for the life of me, I I don't know if people can pretend that long because I haven't, I personally haven't encountered a racist person, a racist white person to my face. Like I haven't encountered that. So I can't relate when someone says to me, ah, I've had these, have I had this racist experience where I was chased out of a building or where I was treated like worse than dead by this white person or this white people, you know? So always, always, ah man, why now? I always try to look at the average and not the anomaly, right? So if we had to go on average, let's just say out of 5 white people, how many are racist? So if we have to say 3 out of 5 white people are racist, then that would be the average, right? Then the average white person is racist, and the average white person cares for dogs and animals and don't care about other human beings, right? But if every 1 or 2 out of every 5 is racist and or doesn't like or prefers animals over black people, then that's not the average, right? That's the way I would look at it, and that's the way I would see him, right? And then people come with these arguments that how many times have white people seen black people hit by cars or need surgery and they just drop them off at a common clinic or at a government facility, you know? Or when they see a dog or an animal, then they take it to a private facility and it gets all the treatment that it needs and all that. Like, again, it's a game of numbers, you know? Does the average do it? Does the majority do it? Or is it 1 out of 2 that does that? You know? It's a scary thought to think that there are people out there that can actually watch humans starve knowing that they would actually do something about it, right? So in this particular case, let's look at the Israeli government, for example, and what they're doing. Is that the average sentiment of all European countries? The mere fact that European countries are not doing anything to stop the Israelis from doing what they're doing, is that an overall picture to say, okay, so it is true that people would rather watch those brown people starve because they've been starved by your white counterparts? Is that a fair argument? If it was a European nation being starved, would white countries, white leaders stand by and watch it happen as unfolded? Then we could twist it and say, okay, the Rwanda genocide, the Congo conflict, there's no white people involved there. Right? I mean, they may be behind the scenes and supplying the weapons and all that, but what we do see is black fighting black. And we see an entire continent not doing anything to stop it. So are we now saying the average black person wants to see another black person struggle, suffer? Does that not also apply in the same breath? Or does it only apply when it's white people doing it? You see, what I've noticed, if I had to really break this thing down into another way, right? It's like a white person would see a dog suffering. A white person would take that dog and go and feed it. Black person will see a dog suffering and leave it. Won't take it and try and rescue it and feed it. You just rather leave it in, because how many times do we go into the townships and we see starving dogs? And no one no one dares think of, let me rescue this dog and treat it, and no, those dogs are just left to fend for themselves and raise themselves. Whereas in the white communities, if they have to see a dog, they'll be like, hey, get the SPCA, let's call the SPCA, let's rescue the dog, let's feed the dog. So if we look at it from that lens, who then is a better human being? Who then cares more for a soul, for a living soul, for who then is better? You know? So that's why I say I still disagree with the notion that white people prefer animals over black people, because white people still seem to fare better on either side of the spectrum. Because, like I said, if white people were so damn cruel, like people say they really are, why would black people prefer to work for white people if white people were really that cruel? You know? And if black people are not that cruel, like people claim they're not that cruel, why would they let why would they leave starving dogs to suffer? Stray dogs, thin to the bone, why would they leave them to struggle and suffer if they have the means and resources to rescue the dog? Why? So I really don't want to I really don't want to play the pointing finger game, but the mere fact that people are quick to say that white people prefer animals over black people, I think it's disingenuous, to be honest. I'm not saying there aren't those people that are like that. I'm not saying there are no white people who are like that. I am not saying that at all. All I'm simply saying is we cannot paint everyone of a certain race group with the same brush. Oh, and we cannot certainly put them at the average by claiming that the majority are like that when it's a simple thing of one or two or three or four or five out of millions. I'm just saying, right? So we go back, give an example of like the student at Stellenbosch who peed on the black students' textbooks. Okay, that was a blatant act of racism. How many white students do that on average? So we're going up according to the average, right? So because that one white student do that or did that, do we now say this is what white people do? No. Understand what I'm saying? So it's same like the average black person steals, is a thief, commits a crime. Is that fair to say it like that? Like you cannot trust black people because they steal. If you look at the average, now this is obviously surely just based on numbers, right? And economics and all these factors that come into play, right? Yes, the average black person steals, and it's not out of racism or any. In most cases, it's out of necessity. It's out of need, not greed, need. It's out of survival that the average black person steals, because the average black person lives under the poverty line. Know what I'm saying? So if we take the average black person, put him or her in a retail store where they don't have, they can't afford the majority of the things, right? But given an opportunity, if the lights go off for about 5 to 10 minutes, are we now going to see empty shelves, missing stuff, or are we going to see things the way they are before the lights went off, like a power cut or whatever? Obviously, you living under the poverty line, an opportunity arises where there's a power cut, and it's an opportunity to grab whatever you need to grab to feed yourself or your family for the day, for the night, for the week. You would obviously grab it, because you more than anyone knows what it's like to go to bed hungry, wake up hungry, or strife and struggle is your daily thing, right? And you have this moment of reprieve that you grab with both hands. Does that now say, okay, all black people are thieves? No, it doesn't. But it just shows that the average who live below the poverty line are willing to risk jail time and pride for something to eat. It's a numbers game, right? And that's how it works. So the mere fact that white people have been known in circles to prefer animals over humans is not a far-fetched idea, but at the same time, it cannot be given as the average, because, like I just gave an example, most black people would prefer working for a white person. So if white people were that cruel, most blacks wouldn't prefer to work for white people. And that's the argument I'm bringing. Maybe I'm wrong on this, you know? Maybe someone has better information that they can convince me otherwise. But for now, I'm totally disagreeing with that notion that white people are the most hateful and hatred, and when it comes to other human beings, they rather prefer animals. Maybe we don't even know that. Maybe it's trust issues. Maybe those people that you see preferring animals is because they've been hurt. Maybe they've trusted some people so much and they're badly hurt, and they decided, you know what, never again going to trust these humans ever again. I'd rather just prefer helping out the animals than helping these humans, because I've helped one too many of them and they've all just hurt me or stolen from me or done. Maybe it could be that, and we don't even know. And we just say, nah, it can't be that, and we never know. That's what I'm saying. Let me know what you think about this topic in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. You know we family, right? Holler.